Good morning. For the purpose of the interview, please could you introduce yourself and your role for this interview, please?
Good morning. My name is Malcolm Noonan and I am a Green Party Senator in the Irish Parliament.
For you as a policymaker, what do you think are the most effective ways for researchers to communicate their findings to policymakers, and what kind of outputs do you find most useful?
We're briefed on a regular and ongoing basis by policy researchers, and on a given week here in the House of the Oireachtas, there could be 5 or 6 pieces of research presented to Oireachtas members, and it's always really useful in terms of I think there's an awareness among researchers that we're busy people, and how that research is distilled and presented in a more concise way is very useful from our perspective, because it gives us an opportunity to raise the outputs of research in the Dáil or Shannon, which socialises those pieces of policy research. So I think in terms of outputs, I think that the academic research community is doing a really effective job in communicating that. I do think we need a stronger tier of local and regional governance in Ireland to ensure that research has the ability to filter down at a smaller and more local level, and how that can inform, for instance, planning policy or environmental policy or spatial policy at a local and regional level. So perhaps it's using the outputs, the research outputs, to be able to inform us as policymakers to make more informed decisions based on evidence. And I think that's the critical piece.
That's interesting what you're saying about local and regional governance. Do you think there are opportunities within the Irish system for academics to engage at that level, or do you think we have to go for national?
Absolutely. I think it's a fantastic space. There are fantastic. There are 942 or 3 county councillors across the country who do fantastic work in their local communities. There's often a criticism that they don't have enough powers, but actually they do. And I think their ability to be able to work in a collegiate way and collaboratively, bringing information and bringing research to where the fundamental changes that we need to make as a society happen, and that's at local level. But the way in which local authority members receive their information is through a number of channels. They have strategic policy committees at local authority level. They have local community economic committees, which bring in broader stakeholders from the community. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for researchers to bring forward, to reach out through the local government system and the regional authorities to present pieces of policy research that impact on their work.
And do you think as an academic, you have to present your research differently or communicate it in an alternative way at that local level?
I think perhaps yes. It should be tailored towards an audience. Certainly, if we look around the table at the local community economic committees, they're largely made up of volunteers. They're made up of community interests, very disparate again. So I think it's in a way that research is impactful, and how it can help shape maybe a shift in policy or a change in policy at a local level. I do think so. I think that's important. But more generally, I think in terms of the research that we're presented with here on a weekly basis, I'm always deeply impressed by the work that is involved, and the quality of it, the communication of it, dissemination of it. It is up to us as policymakers to be consistently taking on board, and there's quite a lot to take in, and certainly all of us here maybe have different areas of interest in our political work on a day-to-day basis. But it is important to be able to use that.
Given the challenges that the Irish government has at the moment, if you could change one thing about how policy and research interacts in Ireland, what would it be?
Our job as politicians and as policymakers is to give voice to the people, but we also live in a reality whereby we have to get elected every 5 years. So I think embedded in the system should be that longer term, like the Commission for the Futures that they have in Wales, and using wellbeing indicators, using different systems of measuring the progress of a nation. If that's embedded in the system, then it's not something we as the lowly politicians have to worry about too much, because the system is already working on this longer term thinking. So I think it's to be able to embed research into a much longer term thinking for the nation, and that means from social, environmental, cultural progress of the country. I think would help us in our work as decision makers.
Minister Noonan, thank you for your time.